Hi there, Ana Cortez back with another reading. I have something really juicy for you today. I think you're going to love it. A brand new spread that's not in my book, the likes of which I've never seen before. It was actually given to me in a dream on Thanksgiving morning. It's a very interactive spread with possibilities for interpretation that are very expansive. And I'm not going to recommend this reading for everybody yet. If you're the type of reader who's struggling with your confidence and you feel like you need a lot of instruction and direction still, best to put this reading off for a little bit later. If you're the type of reader who's hungry for a new frontier and ready to take the art of card reading to a whole new level, this spread is for you. Now, the name of the spread that they gave me in the dream is Of Ligorio. And when I looked Ligorio up on the internet later, I found it's part of an old Italian phrase that goes, Il Ligorio della vita. And that means the stresses and strains of life, the wear and tear of life. And what better name for card reading? So, this reading is really suited for playing cards. You could use the tarot if you're comfortable taking out the major arcana. I don't know how you could include the major arcana and do this reading. We're going to be using a playing card oracle deck, so let's get to the table and have some fun. Alright, we're at the table, and it's a nice cold day outside. A perfect day to play with cards. I've got my phone ringer off and a nice candle burning, and I'm just relaxing with a cup of hot decadence. Nutmeg and whipped cream on top of Mexican coffee. So I'm just going to give the cards a little shuffle, and I'm just going to ask for a good story. That's all I want to see today, because we're really instructing on how to do this spread, and that's going to be plenty of talking as it is. So I'm going to start turning cards, always like a book page, never flipping the cards. And I'm going to start down here in the corner. You probably can't see that in the screen. I will show all cards eventually, I promise. There's a lot of cards in this layout, so fitting them all into the viewer is a little tricky. Basically what I've done is I've laid out 5 cards at the bottom here closest to me, and I'm moving up the table, making kind of a tower. So I do 5 cards down here, then I do 2 cards next to each other, creating a horizontal line here, and then I continue upward with 2 more cards. This is specifically how I was instructed in the dream, and I do this 4 times. I'm going to have a total of 36 cards on the table. So in the dream, we were back many centuries ago. It was dark. We were reading by candlelight, and there was a government official who came to the door on horseback, and he was going house to house recording the results of this game. It was taken very seriously by the government. The government kept records of all the results of all of this game that each of the houses were playing. So this is really a combination between a game and a card reading. And what I'm going to do after I lay all these cards out is I'm going to start pairing them up. I'm going to be moving cards around on the table, which is definitely going to affect the reading. And so, once again, step into your confident self. Remember, there are no mistakes. mistakes actually become part of the reading. They're not mistakes, they're just part of what you read. So the way they showed me is you pair up cards within the court with other cards in the court, but it doesn't matter. Kings can be paired with queens or lady cards or jacks, just so long as they're all in the court. And you know that in the playing card deck, the tens used to be part of the court. I'm looking for a lady card here so I can show you. Here's one. Tens used to be part of the court. They, at some point in time, quit being part of the court and were relegated down to the cards that only have suit signs on them. But in the playing card oracles, we've re-illustrated them as the court cards that they are. And so if you're not playing with an oracle deck, that's okay. Just use your tens as part of the court. They're a female card, a young female card, as opposed to the queen, that's the older female card, just like the jack is the younger male to the king. And that's really cool because it makes the deck really fair, being equal between male and female. So I'm going to start pairing court cards, and sort of a general rule of thumb that I've come to use over the time that I've been playing with this deck is court cards in close vicinity to other court cards probably want to be paired together. So I start looking for those in my layout. Here I've got two court cards. I'm going to actually move them so that they look like a pair. And I'm looking for another court card. Here's a single lady card. I'm going to move her up here to be with this king. She's now changing her spot in the layout. That's going to affect how I read this reading. But I'm going to make a mental note that I pulled her out of this section here and moved her up here. This lower portion of the deck is the past. All these cards down here, all 20 of these cards represent the past. These cards that are in this horizontal line created are the present time, what's happening in your life now. And these cards up here, you can probably guess, are the future. And I love how there's only 2 cards as opposed to 5 cards down here in the past, which goes along with what I've always felt and said, and that is it's wise not to fish too far out into the future. The future is negotiable. So I moved the lady up here. I didn't actually see that this king was down here. I could have paired her with that king and they would have been closer in vicinity, but that's the thing about this reading. Put your confidence skin on. There are no mistakes, so I'll just make a note that she left this king and went up to be with that king. That's now part of the story of this reading. Isn't that lovely? Like I said, it takes the art of card reading to a whole new level. Okay, now I'm looking for more court cards. I've got a jack down here, and I've got a jack over here. I could take this jack either way, but you know, jacks like to hang out together and kind of mess around. So I'm going to put these 2 cards together, and that leaves this king sort of alone now. I've paired up the other court cards around him, and I like that for this king. He's sort of a loner anyway, and that feels right to me, so all is good. I'm moving along. I'm looking for courts. Nothing in that row. I'm looking for court cards. These 2 to me look like an obvious pair. Even though this queen is here, I could have paired her up there, but I'm making this executive decision, and I see a couple more court cards down here. So I've got several court cards over here. I don't know what you can see in the viewer, but I'm going to pair these 2 up because they're pretty much right on top of each other in the layout. And that leaves this little queen all by herself. I really didn't do that on purpose, I'm sorry, but she's another card that likes to be alone and typically is alone. And now I'm going to move these two across the table. They found each other at last, and I'm creating a story as I move cards around here. This is a leap, a big leap in intuition here. So I'm going to move them over here. We're going to the king's house over there. And so I've paired everybody up. You don't want to leave cards unpaired. Sometimes you will have a leftover card. You can leave it for the time being if you get an uneven number of court cards up on the table. That's normal. So, but in this instance, they all paired up. Now, I'm going to move to the cards ace through 9. I'm going to start pairing those up. The rules are a little different with the pip cards. Ace through 9 are called pips, and the rules are a little different. They have to be paired with another card of the like number. A 3 has to be with another 3. An ace needs to find another ace, although I have been assigning the ace at times as a wild card, but we'll get to that. So these two aces up here are obviously asking to be paired together, so they're a pair. I'm looking now at scanning my spread for obvious pairs, things that pop out at me. I'm going to pair those together. I've got an 8, a 9, a 6, a 3, 2 4s down here at the bottom. Those are pairs, so I'm going to move them in closer together so visually I know that they're paired up. And I'm just going to turn the camera off. I'm not going to put you through this painstaking exercise, and we'll turn the camera back on when I'm done pairing them up. And you could have the person you're reading for pair things as well. That might be a brilliant move. So you have that choice. Okay, I'll be back in a second. Hi, we're back, and I've paired up everything I could. And I didn't try to space them out all equally and make the table all pretty. I kind of let the art of the reading come forward, because you'll see as you move to the interpretation part that everything on the table becomes significant, can become part of the reading. So don't be too square about everything. And I've got some leftover cards here. I've got this 7 Sword of Destruction that didn't have a mate. I'm just scanning around here. I've got this 2 that didn't find a partner anywhere on the table. I've got this 6 that didn't find a partner. And all the way up here, I've got this 9 at the top that didn't have another 9 to pair with. Oops. Now I'm going to use the cards I had left after I laid out my big spread. And I'm going to use those cards to help me pair up what's left. So I'm going to start by turning the top card just wherever I please. I'm going to place it on top of one of the cards that was waiting for a mate. And that turned this 2 of clubs into a 6. And I know I have a 6 over here that needs a pair, so voila. All of a sudden, I have a pair. Now I'm going to continue with the other cards that I have left. This 7 becomes a queen. That doesn't help me yet. Still turning cards. The 9 becomes a jack, and I have a pair. So I'm going to take the jack down here and lay him next to the queen. Now, both of these cards have a little something they're hiding, don't they?